theatre always comes, always. The theatre is a community all over the world, isn't it? I mean, the whole history of theatre and the need for theatre in human culture has always been present. And this was something I discovered many years ago. I had the opportunity to work with Peter Brook, who is the great, British theatre director. And we worked in Africa trying to find a common theatrical language that was above language, above culture, above history, but was the simple communication of story from a performer to an audience. And, that relationship has been with us for thousands of years and all over the world in different manifestations. I think of the theatre community as being a tribe, really, a tribe that is all over the planet, one tribe, and although maybe we speak different languages and we come from different understandings of life and obviously different histories, we have this common attachment to each other, which is the desire to perform, to tell a story, to excite an audience, to entertain an audience, to move an audience. It's a universal thing. So I think in that sense, the theatre community is connected all over the world. And, and not forgetting the architecture of theatre, the actual theatres themselves, the building, which I always find such a moving space and such a evocative and poetic space. Very recently, I went into the theatre in Lecce. There is a beautiful theatre in Lecce, an empty theatre, and no one was performing. But you have the spirit and the feeling of all of those performers and the audiences over many, many years, maybe now going into centuries. And I find those spaces such beautiful spaces. And I think we have to remember the people who run those spaces, the people who show you to your seats, the people who take your ticket, the people who work the lights, the people who make the scenery and put the scenery on the stage and take it off the stage, and all of those other participants in theatre that are so important to the continuation of theatre, of an audience going into a building, the curtain going up or the lights coming up, and a performance starting in front of them. And all of the arts and the artisans and the craftsmen and women who go into creating that moment are so very important in our culture. And of course, that's what it's all about, is that communal experience, isn't it? I have been in a theatre where there's only 5 people in the audience, not a very successful play. I've done a play where there's only 5 people in the audience, also not a very successful play. And of course it can happen, but it's the sense of a communal experience of something, of laughing together, of crying together, of being shocked together, of being moved together, that is so very extraordinary in the theatre. And yes, of course, we have to bring people back to the theatre. Obviously, for the last year, all of those people have been suffering and struggling, including the dancers, the singers, the opera singers, the musicians. All of those performers have been really, really struggling. And I think we have to make sure that, that they are precious to us. It takes a long time to become a great musician or a great dancer. and we can't lose them, you know, so we have to make sure that they can continue, and they will continue, but also that they can survive before they can get back to work. You can't stop artists. They can't stop. They're driven from within. It's impossible to stop. And what has been sort of extraordinary is to see the creativity of what people have been doing, and how the ways they've found, without being paid, but the ways they've found to communicate their art to you know, through the internet. Thank heavens that we've had this technology. But you know, you've seen dancers dancing in the streets, you know, to musicians playing on balconies here in Italy. That was a very beautiful thing to see. Recently, I saw a musician playing his piano to the zoos to the animals in the zoo, because, you know, the animals in the zoo have been without their audience, without people. So they've sort of wondered, where have all the people gone? And this man went to play his piano to the animals, and they loved it. They responded. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. So yes, artists have been very generous and very creative. That's very interesting. Yes, I can imagine, because again, that sense of community and shared humanity, isn't it? It's about shared humanity, about the way that we all have tragedy and comedy in our lives, you know, cruelty and love, and you know, there is an absolute common humanity, and that is what's obviously is so terrible about war, is it dehumanizes the enemy. The enemy of necessity has to be dehumanized, because otherwise you couldn't kill them the way you think you have to. Well, the theatre always survives, because it's natural and organic. And there will always be young people who want to do theatre, who want to perform, always. I really believe this, because it has happened for thousands of years, and through wars and through pandemics and through drought and through disaster and through all kinds of the endless problems that humanity has to face, theatre always comes, always. So, you know, I'm an absolute believer in that. We go through hardship and difficulty, but it always comes back. Hi.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Buonasera.